Hello, welcome to AR Highlights at AWE Asia 2023. I'm Stacy, and today I'm here with Nadin, who is the Director of AP at Lenovo. And we're here to talk a little bit today about something that they presented on earlier about kind of enterprise for metaverse. But before we dig into it, Ari, do you mind giving a quick introduction of yourself and also your role? That is what you do at Lenovo.
Yeah, happy to, Stacy. Thank you. So, Ari Nadin, AP Solutions Director. I'm one of many leaders in Lenovo responsible for our pivot to helping customers achieve business outcomes by delivering complete end-to-end solutions across a spectrum of different hardware, software, and services components.
Wonderful. So your kind of booth at AWE Asia this year was all about Think Reality VRX. Can you kind of walk me through where exactly is Think Reality VRX right now and kind of what are the next steps?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for asking. So Think Reality VRX is ready. It is one of the maybe the third or fourth generation of virtual reality product that we have developed. It's been shipping to all the major markets in Asia since the beginning of the month. So it's ready. We have partnerships with several different application development houses, several different popular virtual reality applications already. So we encourage customers to find the existing use cases that apply to their business, go ahead and buy VRX, buy a complete virtual reality solution with Lenovo or one of our partners, and start gaining the benefit from this technology.
If I may ask, you mentioned that this is kind of the third or fourth version. What do you anticipate the fifth version looking like? What's left to be added or improved?
So that's a great question, and I guess if I can make a bit more of an ask of the market. So we talk about there are use cases ready for the market today. We also work intensively with a very wide-ranging developer community. They're developing additional applications, additional solutions, additional use cases every day. And with those use cases will come feature requirements. And the last thing, my additional ask to the market is, as you start using this technology in the well-established ways that deliver business value today, explore, have fun with it. Think about what else you can do and tell us what else you want. I spoke to several customers today, and I've said to many of them, in this space, which we refer to as immersive technology, there's a wide spectrum of experiences, and today I would still estimate that probably 85% of this space is not filled. So help us fill it.
Talking about the market, I think a big theme of this conference has been that XR is not just for kind of the consumer side. What do you think is kind of crucial in pushing the public to realize that XR is really quite useful and maybe even more useful for the enterprise side?
So that's a great question, and I think we've spent a lot of time on that, over the 7 years that we've been in this business already.
Right.
And I think, as with any new technology or sort of new point product, the enterprise needs help realizing value from it while fitting it within the way a company does business. So that this is kind of part of Lenovo's broader pivot towards solutions. So what we've been offering our customers, what we've been delivering for some of the largest customers in the world, are end-to-end solutions that span not just the hardware, but the software that makes sense for the customer's use case, the content that has to be built that applies to that customer's context, and finally the services, from something as simple as deploying the devices, keeping their software up to date, making sure they're secure, making sure the customer's data is protected. All of that has to come together for an enterprise to make use of this technology, and that's what we've been putting together for our customers.
To create this sort of kind of end-to-end solution, what kind of partnerships and kind of integrations do you need to have with the hardware, the software, the services, and also what kind of partnerships are you hoping to continue developing going forward?
So it's a good question, and I think that Lenovo in addressing this question and coming up with solutions, we lean into one of our core capabilities. We're one of the world's leading supply chain companies. We've been using a diverse ecosystem of providers and partners in order to build best-of-breed product with incredibly high build quality for decades, right? And so the pieces that come together here are, again, deployment services, what is the code, making sure that you have applications that are interoperable across a variety of use cases, user contexts. Am I in the office? Am I at home? Am I traveling? Across different types of devices, right? So we spoke in our Snapdragon talk about being able to combine experiences across handheld, across AR sets, and across VR sets. So giving the customer that flexibility we think is key, and then working with all the partners in the ecosystem to say, hey, who's got it? Who can do it? Who can help? Right? Being really open to the idea that value can come from anywhere and everywhere in the ecosystem.
Absolutely. Talking about kind of who can help, what can be added, how much of a value add is generative AI to what you're doing right now?
So that's a really good question, and actually, generative AI, I think having hit prominence a little bit later than immersive technology, is still for many technology that doesn't have a lot of well-defined enterprise use cases. One of the first to emerge, one of the use cases we're seeing used in immersive technology already is content development. So we think of generative AI, first we think of the words, right? ChatGPT, and then we start thinking of the 2D art. But we need to generate a ton of content for consumption in immersive environments. And we have partners who are already using generative AI to generate that content. So, I was talking to a potential partner yesterday about the future of composition, right? And so once upon a time, a human sat down at a blank sheet of paper and made stuff up.
Yes.
Now you get your building blocks from generative AI, from different data repositories, and then you compose it into something that's truly refined, truly unique, and truly relevant to the context you're in. And that is one of the many use cases we see for generative AI within immersive technology.
And is Lenovo starting to do that internally as well?
So I think we do more than I know, right? So we do have virtualized experiences internally. We do generative AI implementations internally. And I think one of the things that we've talked about in the market more recently is Lenovo on Lenovo. How have we been using the technologies that customers are interested in and advocating for? But at our core, we are customer-led, right? So most often when we're doing something new and interesting, when we're implementing new technology, it's with a customer and with their business outcome in mind.
That makes perfect sense. Moving on a little bit to that customer experience, what do you think currently are kind of the biggest barriers to a smooth customer experience? What are things that you're still trying to fiddle with, improve, find more partnerships to help boost even further?
I think it comes back to the idea of offering a comprehensive solution, right? So when an enterprise thinks that it has to fill its own cart and then take the ingredients home and cook its own meal, that's a barrier to customer experience. Yes. That's a barrier to implementation. And so that's why we take such a wide-ranging approach to making sure that all the pieces that fit a solution together are available, that we, whether we do this in our OEM business where we offer reference architectures for ISV customers, or in the Think Reality business where we are coming and saying, hey, we have an end-to-end virtual training solution for you ready to go. Here's what it looks like. Here's the pieces. Here's what you buy in order for it to happen in your environment. And that's unique. We don't see a lot of other people taking that end-to-end approach. Certainly not a lot of other product manufacturers.
So when you are able to offer this end-to-end solution, how do industries react? Are there any other barriers to adoption that come up frequently?
So, believe it or not, business is not an uninterrupted series of victories. I think sometimes when you satisfy every requirement that a customer has, they're forced to look back and say, hey, wait, what's our business case? Like, we're exploring whether this is viable for us. Okay, it's viable, but maybe we haven't done the math as to whether or not it's valuable. I think this business, as I said earlier, is mature enough that there are several established use cases that deliver business value. Right? You could have more money in a year or two by spending this money now than you would otherwise. So we're getting there. But there are still a lot of companies that are just learning about it, just dipping the toe, just trying to figure out whether it works or not, and maybe haven't figured out whether it makes economic sense for them or not.
I'm curious, what are some of the use cases that have proven quite successful, particularly in Asia?
Sure. So there's three well-established ones, although I think when we get into a couple of these, you'll see that they actually branch out into maybe many, many more. The first one is training, especially so hard skills training, because you can repeat activity in a virtual environment that if it's training for high value equipment, how do you put a person in front of a high value piece of machinery?
Right.
How do you put 10 of those people at the same time? In
Right.
a virtual environment, you can do it very easily, and you can provide very clear feedback that is not expensive feedback. Whereas when you try to fix something real and you fail, that's expensive
Right.
feedback.
It's quite an investment.
Soft skills training. So typically soft skills training is done with two people. One person who should be out there generating revenue for you right now, and one person who you really hope will start very soon.
Yes.
So it's expensive, right? It impacts your business. What we've found is that soft skills training is actually faster when it's in a virtual environment, not least of all because people are a little bit less self-conscious about giving their genuine response when there's not an actual other human there. And so they learn very quickly based on that. If they did it right, great, instant feedback, that's wonderful. If they did it wrong, instant feedback, and let's go again, right? So there's a clear business case for that. And then we also see it in workflow guidance and remote assist. So one of the very common use cases is when you have a very skilled individual, a skilled technician, engineer, sometimes a medical professional, who has to do work or whose skills are needed in many different geographic locations. When that person can provide remote guidance in real time to somebody who's there, then that saves the expense of traveling, but also the downtime of waiting for that travel to occur and of that person moving from place to place to place. So pretty well established value proposition around that use case. And workflow for simpler items where you don't actually need another expert on the other end, but maybe just the content that tells you, do this now, do that now, do that there, do that there. Then the value proposition for that is well established as well.
Sounds amazing. Kind of your different value propositions, do you find that there's very many differences across different regions? Like as the Asia team, do you find that there's any particular use cases or pain points that are particularly poignant compared to other regions?
So, I've been in this market for 9 years. I never make comments about the Asia market anymore. That's one of the first lessons you learn, right? I would say that first things first, dispense with your expectations. In every market, emerging, mature, the demand for technology-capable talent is incredibly high. So you have, for example, employee experience, workplace experience requirements across all markets, across all labor pools. And then beyond that, I think the best way to understand where value lies is to engage deeply with your customer, sometimes help them find out for themselves. Most enterprises don't challenge the way they do everything every day.
Right.
It takes those of us who have found a new way to do it to sometimes gently say, hey, I know you've got a bunch of business priorities and they have this defined outcome, but did you know that if you focused over here, you can actually achieve this kind of outcome? So I long ago stopped generalizing, and we help customers find value in ways that they don't expect and in ways that we don't expect on a pretty frequent basis. And we also help those customers for whom the business case doesn't exist realize, I can invest in this at another time and maybe get more value from it then.
And I'm sure they appreciate that. Shifting the conversation a bit to AWE Asia, has there been any particular highlight for you personally being here, kind of seeing different sessions, having interactions with different exhibitors? Kind of what are your takeaways from this event?
So I think that, the number of organizations across different industries, and even, we as you probably know, AWE Asia has hosted visitors from all around the world, right? Regardless of the fact that it is in Singapore. So the level of interest in what we're doing in immersive technology is such that people are taking every opportunity they can in order to understand quickly what they can do in this space and to really think about their own business in a different way, right? So the people who are here are not, they are not focused on this technology, but rather more broadly focused on how emerging technology can create value for their business or their customers. And they're hungry to act now.
We believe so too. On the flip side, what do you hope that attendees at AWE Asia this year took away the most from your sessions as well as from this expo overall?
So I think that, especially with respect to the Snapdragon session, one of the things that's most important is the idea of an open ecosystem. And the idea that this industry is kind of emerging from the ground up as offering a set of interoperable components that customers can use to create solutions that work best for them. So understanding that they're not necessarily locked into any sort of walled garden, but that this industry is really built in order for customers to be able to make the solution that makes the most sense for them. And then from our session, in particular, that Lenovo is one of the big players in this space is ready to help them assemble those solutions, right? So the first one sounds, hey, that's great. I have all these options. What do I do with them?
Right.
And the second one is, well, at Lenovo, we're here to help you pick the pieces that make the most sense for you, not just today, but also that give you the flexibility to grow and adapt this capability into the future.
That sounds wonderful. Well, that has been time, but this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you so much. This has been Ari from Lenovo, and thank you for watching AR Highlights at AWE Asia 2023. Thank you
so much. It's been my pleasure.